Everybody loves a great sounding snare drum. Here on YouTube, there's all sorts of advice about getting epic and great drum sounds in the studio, and a lot of it is not very good. So in this video, I want to show you the thing that's standing in between you and the amazing drum sounds that you want to get, and it's the drums. And you knowing what the heck to do with the drums. So today we're gonna be taking my cheapest snare drum that I own. This thing's 350 bucks, brand new. Find it used for cheaper. Over to our friends at Drum Supply, who are going to show us everything we need to know about setting up, tuning, all the little details that make your snare sound exactly how you want. This video you're gonna watch is actually a lesson from my new Epic Drum recording course. The first module is literally all about the actual drums. You would be amazed by how many audio engineers know very little about the actual drums and how to make them sound good at the source. We also go over recording, we also go over production, performance, post-production, editing, comping. I'm gonna put a link to it in the description. It's only available for the next 7 days, and if you get it before then, it's 50% off. This is gonna be a huge, pretty in-depth course. Now, since this video is all about getting your drum dialed in and set up, I'm gonna go ahead and add a free PDF download that just has sort of a step-by-step reminder and guide of the things to check and do whenever you're dialing in your snare drum. You can download that below. And then after Andy shows us how to get this thing set up, we're gonna bring it back and test it right here in this room, so stay tuned to the end. If you love drums, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, let's get into it. We are here today in East Nashville at the amazing Drum Supply. This is my favorite drum shop in all of Nashville, and we're here with Andy Gray. Well, what do you do here?
I manage the shop, obviously sell drums. We make drums, we repair drums, cymbals and stuff as well. Anything drum related, we do it all.
So I came here probably last year, and one of the first things I noticed when I came here, because there's a few shops in town, and one of the first things I noticed is that every drum I touched sounded like gold. And I even eventually wound up trading in some drums that I was like, these drums just don't sound that good. I'd trade in like 3 snares for like 1 snare that sounded good. And then I'd come back, I'd see one of the snares that I traded in, and I'm like, I wonder what this sounds like in it. I'm like, oh, it sounds so good. What the heck? So what I have slowly learned is that I needed to get better at setting up a drum and tuning it, and just some basics about the drum itself. So I eventually wound up inviting you to one of the drum recording workshops for your expertise on drums, and blew my mind in just the 20 minutes or whatever you talked about snares. So I wanted to kind of share a little bit of that with you guys. So I've got a couple questions for you.
Okay.
And I also brought a snare drum that we can use as an example. This one has no snare wires on it.
Okay.
So I'll have to buy some snare wires, and we can kind of talk about that if you want. What are some basics that I should know about a snare drum, heads, any parts that maybe you see other people don't know about them?
Well, in regards to snare specifically, you have to have a snare side head on here, not just a clear head. The thickness on it is what dedicates that.
Okay.
It's super thin and allows the snares to bounce and the tone to come through from the top head, and the the wires to jiggle and do their thing.
And clear.
And
not
clear,
a lot of
I
coated
mean, there's other options. They make some snare side coated heads and some snare side Renaissance style heads for like classical pieces and stuff. Just depends on what kind of flavor you're going for, really.
Interesting. So just let's say I just want this to be a regular standard wood snare sound. Let's make it as universal and flexible as possible.
This is a mahogany drum, I believe, so mahogany or walnut. So we have to also look at the characteristics of the drum, and you can either decide to play into that or to change it. I think for this, I want to play into that. So I'm not sure if this is mahogany or walnut. Both of those woods are darker, both physically and audibly. So that's something you can do a little research beforehand. If you get a maple snare or a metal snare, just look up the characteristics of that drum and then figure out which way you want to go. Alter the sound or enhance the sound. And so I want to enhance this. Since it's darker, I'm going to choose something that plays into that. So like a 2-ply coated darker head is going to be a go-to for me. It's going to do well in like lower tunings, lower mid-range kind of thing. And then since it's 10 lug, I'm probably gonna do just 20 strand snare wires. A lot of people put big old 42 strand snare wires on something like this and it ends up choking the drum out. So I'm gonna put, 20 strand wires and a 2-ply head on this.
So you're telling me that using the fatter wires doesn't make it sound fatter?
Correct. It makes it sound more snarey. So if you've got a problem with like a deeper drum, like a 14x10 or something, and it's just like no matter how you hit it, it's just too tight, you can just add a little bit of extra and it'll give it some more sizzle on it. The problem with that though is every snare has what's called snare beds. Okay. Which makes it different than a tom. And snare beds is basically a flattened out part of the bearing edge, whereas you've got the same bearing edge you're going to see on tom's kick drum here. Yep. And then as it gets to where the snare wires go, it's going to flatten out. And that allows the snares to sit and be sensitive. If it doesn't have that, it'll just sound like a tom with some janglies on it, and it won't sound very good. But the problem with the 42s is oftentimes it goes beyond the end of that bearing edge, so you've got 10 to 16 wires that are just like not controllable, not doing anything, and so they will rattle all day. If that's what you're going for, great. But when I think of most drums, I think of control. I want to be able to control it. And choose, do I want it jangly or do I want it tight? And 42 in this case would limit me because it's going to be close to or beyond that snare bed there.
Okay.
So something that'll fit inside the snare bed, something I can get pretty tight, but also something I can loosen up and get kind of gushy if I want to.
Yeah.
So we'll actually do that first,
cool.
And then we'll change the top head.
Great.
Let me grab some. What color straps do you want? You want like red? I got blue. You got a lot of blue in your studio.
Yeah, blue's nice. Okay, so can we talk about this?
Yeah.
Or do you want to do that over there?
Yeah, I can show you over there.
Okay, cool. What room is this?
This is our parts room. So this is where it's currently a big mess, but we sell parts and things for full custom kits. This is where you can go in and choose those parts to put on your drums. Whether it's hoops or tension rods, lugs, the screws that mount the lugs, all sorts of stuff, and then brackets and mounts and things over there. Getting into custom land over here with all these custom wraps. Got our wood shop in the back here where we do our custom drum building, which is fun. You're welcome to poke back in there and get a shot if you'd like.
Yeah, is there a separate name for that?
Our drum
maker or something?
Yeah, our drum parts. I mean, all the parts are available on both sites, but drum maker is one, drummaker.com, and then drum supply is another. But drum maker is focused more on our custom side.
Dude, look at these. What in the world?
That's a cutoff.
Okay.
Someone wanted their bass drum shorter, so we cut it off.
Got it.
That can be turned into a massive snare drum if you want, or a gong drum, that kind of thing. Lots of dust in here just because we work with sawdust and things.
Yeah.
But
super cool.
Yeah.
I will say I do have one of the custom drums, and it is the most in-demand drum in the studio. It's called the Dino.
The Dino.
The Dino. That was the first time I remembered it.
Yeah, that one's special. One of our customers kind of designed that, and we thought about doing wood hoops on a steel drum, but we hadn't actually done it. And then he did it, and it sounded great. So that's that secret gushy tone. So before I put wires on, I'm going to make sure this is tuned. Typically, I'm doing more of a feel-based tuning on the bottom, and then I will tune to a note on the top. But, I just kind of want it tight, but not too tight. Some people do it tabletop tight. Some people do it looser. It's more of like a push down. Does it feel like a hard surface, or does it feel like something that's given a little bit? The most important thing is make sure the wrinkles are out. There are no rules, but to get you started, get all the wrinkles out, get it significantly tighter than the top head on a snare drum. Yeah. So let me grab a key and I'll double check things here. I am gauging basically the differences in pitch here. And it's not perfectly exact. You can sit here with a tune bot and do that and measure the frequencies, but that's more important again on the top head than it is the bottom head. This again is just tension. It's gonna activate our snare wires. And these on the snare bed are always gonna be tuned a little bit lower or sound a little bit lower because the surface is flatter here. And so what I do is I will do an additional half turn or so around these guys. You can hear that glue setting in, which is always fun. I'm just putting my finger here on the middle out of habit. You don't really have to do it with this thin of a head, but I'm barely touching on it to kill some of that big overtone. And what that does is it focuses when I'm tapping on these. It focuses that pitch a little more. I'm not pushing, I'm just resting my finger on it. Well, that allows me to hear that just a little better. So I think that's in a good spot. It's not too squishy and it's not too tight.
Do you have a particular, and you may have already said this, a particular like make of these, or is there anything you're looking for in these that you prefer?
The first thing I'm gonna check is like where they are in relation to this bearing edge. I want them off the bearing edge inside, not too far inside and not touching the bearing edge. A lot of wires will actually be too close on both sides to that edge, and you lose almost like 100% of your ability to tighten them. What that does is it's actually going to pull them incorrectly and make them kind of do this maneuver if they're too close to that edge. And if they're too far in, it just, you just got no, you've got this big old thing muffling the head, which is not what you want. Another thing is you can see these little lips here. So if you're using string, you're gonna want to have that. Otherwise, it'll do the opposite effect where it will push your wires down like this. And we don't want that. We want flat, perfect tension. We don't want it to pull this way or that way. We want it just flat. So if it looks like this, you're good. I know Canopus sells wires like this. We sell wires like this. This is our house brand.
Oh, nice.
And you can order those online. But
what's the website called?
Drumsupply.com.
Drumsupply.com?
Yep.
Okay.
I like straps because it's easier. You'll see how much quicker it is to do this with straps than it is with string.
What if there's plastic?
Plastic is the same as long as it's like a strap like this. I like to use, in a studio setting, I like to use cloth strap because it gives a little bit and it's a little more customizable. The nylon strap tends to be a little too stiff and you're not able to make fine, small adjustments. Right. It's either on or off. Yeah. Which is great in a live setting because you want it to stay on or stay off. And they're durable, but these are durable as well. The problem with strings is A, it takes a lot longer, and B, it's gonna pull your wires like that. Yeah. And you don't want that, you want straight.
Nice.
So everyone does this differently, but I'll show you the way that I do it. Because, I don't know, because Andrew wants to see it that way.
What are some, I guess maybe you're kind of going through it, but what are some things that you see people do that you're like, oh gosh, don't do this?
On a snare, well, a lot of people kind of half-ass this part of it, the snare relationship, and just think that, they want it just tight because it's not supposed to be jangly. And I think that you'll hear in a second, once I get it tuned up, that relationship is natural. It feels the most natural. And you can isolate it, put tape on it, do all the weird stuff if you're looking for that sound. But in most cases, if you just make your room smaller in some way, gobos or, smaller bedroom, put furniture in there, it will kind of do that for you. And a lot of people worry about snare bleed into their toms. And I think that that's natural. I think that's part of it. And lean into it instead of trying to fix it, because you won't ever be able to fix it because sympathetic buzz is physics.
Yep.
And once you start putting tape on this, limiting this, it no longer sounds good, and it's harder to mix afterwards.
Yeah, it's fair to say Andy also has a studio and records drums as well, so I'm sure that contributes to you understanding why and how to make drums sound extra special.
Yeah.
And you put mics on them and you listen to them.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Makes it pretty clear.
Yeah. I think it's also important, like, I see a lot of people looking up videos on how to do these kind of things and applying that to their snare drum or toms or whatever. And in reality, every drum is uniquely different. If you don't treat it as such, you'll find yourself being like, what the heck, this isn't working. And it's like, well, you know, your drum is just different. So
Sure.
try something else.
Tell me about how you do this part.
Yeah, so I loosen this all the way and it's on. And I'm just pulling a little bit. I'm not cranking down on it. I'm just getting it tight to where, you know, it'd be kind of jangly and loose if you were to play it. And actually gravity is going to turn it off here in a second. But just lightly, you know, making sure there's tension here. And I'm just going to tighten this down. The important thing is this is open all the way. It's loosened all the way because it gives me, I'll give you an audio term, gives me headroom when I turn it over. I can tighten it. I'm not already maxed out. So now I can, and there it is, it's on.
Nice.
And now I can go really tight if I want or really loose. But I just find that open it all the way, start there. These will stretch out a little bit too. So over time, you'll find yourself tightening a little more, but you shouldn't be over tightening because then these will break.
Right. Already sounds good.
Yeah, sounds like a snare drum. Now I've got this fancy tool.
Oh.
That makes my life easier.
We could have used that in module 1.
This is an Amazon Basics thing. It's just like a little hand drill. It's got a USB-C charger.
Let's go.
So you can just plug it in anywhere. We have our other one charging here. It's just a little hand drill, forward or backwards.
And then what's like the adapter?
$20. The adapter. Gibraltar sells this, or Evans sells one. DW also makes one. It's just a drill bit drum key. The cheapest one is probably Gibraltar. I think it's around $6, and it just magnetizes right in there, and then makes life go way faster.
Oh man, I just want to get one now.
Well, and the big thing is like I'm doing this, you know, 50, 60 times a day. I've got people waiting in line behind that person to get their drum done.
Yep.
And if I'm sitting there fiddling on it, trying to get it off, it's going to take forever. So head off, just like that.
All right, what do we need to know about the batter head on a snare drum?
Your bottom head is going to be all your control, and then your top head is going to be your tone. So it's like your tension rods are your EQ knobs, per se. So you're just, you know, adding highs with tightening it, or adding lows by loosening it. There is a too low and there is a too high. Too high is when your head breaks. Too low is when there's, I mean, you know, there's no rules. Some people record with their heads totally off and it sounds really wild, but you know, there's a ground where the snare is meant to start. It's fundamental.
And then like drum heads as far as like ambassador, emperor, thickness, coated, clear.
Yep,
what does that change?
So coated versus clear is a big one. That's gonna affect your top end, your attack. So coated is gonna soften it out, flatten it a little bit. Clear is gonna give you a crackier high-end attack from the stick, so maybe around like 8K to 12K.
Yeah, a little more slap sound.
A little more slap, which is useful depending on what you're going for. But the most generic one is just do coated, start with coated, and if you're needing more attack, you know, try something else.
All right, well I brought an ambassador.
Okay, we'll do ambassador.
We'll lean into the natural mahogany.
Yeah, you want to make sure it fits, obviously. 14-inch head on a 14-inch drum. If you're having trouble, this one fits, and you should be able to spin it pretty well. Some vintage drums are naturally wider. There are properly sized heads for that, called classic fit, or any Evans head. Level 360 will fit perfectly on a vintage drum. step one. I know I said 2-ply earlier, but we'll just do 1-ply. What the difference between single ply versus double ply, ambassador versus emperor, G1 versus G2.
Wait, hold on. Question, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
So I brought that, I just grabbed a random one. If you think a different one's better, can we just swap it? No? Okay, cool.
I guess what I'm trying to prove is versatility.
Okay, cool.
You can get every sound you want out of every head with muffling.
Right.
But with this, I am not putting any tension on these. I'm just doing it faster.
Yeah.
Cheating. I wouldn't put any tension with this on there because you're gonna over tighten, potentially ruin the head or strip your rods. Let's get it close enough to where I can do a kind of a finger tighten.
Ooh. I was just gonna ask about drum keys.
I like a bigger key because I can feel more on it. I like that just because it's fast and I can feel the tension better. Going until my finger can no longer tighten that. You know, I don't have a rigid finger. I've got a loose finger here. Just go until it stops. Again, no rules.
Yeah.
People will tell you different things. This is just what I do, and I learned this from a friend back in the day. So I'll go across, over, across, over, across, over, across, over,
Yeah.
across, over. That's just the way I found it works best for me. Everyone is different, so do what works for you. But the most important thing is I don't want to go too tight on this go. I just want to just a little finger tight. Single ply versus double ply. Double ply has more durability. Single ply is gonna, contrary to popular belief, allow you to get a beefier, lower tone because that single ply can maintain low tension easier. 2 plies, they're fighting each other a little bit. They start low and they can stay low is the big thing. With a single ply, as soon as you put a little bit of tension on it, you're gonna jump way up just because it's a single ply head. But you can hear that, a little wrinkly. But it already has, that's just like quote unquote finger tight all the way around, minus that one. And it's already, you could,
Fatty.
it's fat. If you muffle it right, you could use that. But point is, it's even. You've got good tension across. We'll go from here now.
So when you're dialing in drums for the store here, what are you going for? Just the best version of that drum?
Best version, versatility. We like to show people what our drums can do. So we will do, I'll put it like kind of in a good middle spot to where people can bring a key and start messing with it and try things with it. Some drums sound really good low and fat, so I'll put them on the shelf sounding low and fat. Some drums sound really good tight, so I'll do that. But, people are gonna wanna do different things with their drums, so we kind of just make it sound good, and then people can decide what to do with it later.
Would you say that it's safe to think about like drum tuning as like low, medium, high? Kind of 3
Yes.
options generally.
Yes, you got your low, like I said, low, medium tuning, high tuning. And you can hear that in different genres too. You
Yeah.
kind of gravitate, hear that low pitch in some like the modern funk or worship or a lot of country stuff that's coming out right now is deep, fat, gushy. Casey Musgraves,
Yep.
deep, fat, gushy.
Yep.
Mid-range, think like funk, super muffled, like 70s funk was just right in the middle with a tea towel on top or something, just to where it feels good to play it with the hands. You got a nice rebound. They weren't exactly doing this kind of thing back in the day. They just threw it on and
Yeah.
sounds good. Put a mic on it.
Running out of time.
Yep. And then like high pitched, think like some of like the harder rock or faster songs, or this new wave of like R&B soul coming from LA, like this like McGee style, that kind of funky
Boom bap.
indie boom bap with the high pitched, hip hop kind of snare from like the 90s that translates now into modern like R&B and soul.
Yeah.
That's really tight, high pitched.
And you can do that.
Metal.
You can do that with different size drums too, right? Like
Yes.
I took on the first part of this module, I took a piccolo and we set it up and it was high and ringy, and then I tuned it down.
Yep.
And then I dampened it, and it actually was like, psh.
Every drum should be able to do all three.
Yeah.
Low, medium, high. They might not all sound good,
Yeah.
but they should be able to do it. Yeah. Every drum has its happy place. I usually start there. Okay, now I'm gonna do something silly and goofy, but with Remo heads, you have to do this, especially if you're taking it to a session.
Yep.
I'm gonna do this on carpet so it doesn't mess the drum up. This is called breaking a head in. I get it tight and in tune with itself, and then I'm going to put pressure. Some people say stand on it. I wouldn't encourage that for a big guy like me. But yeah, I'm just gonna, you'll hear that kind of break in, that glue kind of set. I'm putting my palms here on each rod. You can hear it's back fat and loose now because
Yeah.
the head is stretched out.
I didn't necessarily know how to describe that or why, but I did that on the kick drum when I
Yeah.
put the Remos on there.
Yep. And it's just with Remo, really. Evans kind of comes pre-stretched. I don't know. They just kind of go right on. But the secret to Remo heads is stretch them out, and then they'll sound great. And when you stretch it out, you're also highlighting maybe any imperfections in the shell bearing edge. They're going to come out. So if something needs a little more tension or a little less tension, after you stretch it out, it's going to reveal itself by pitch. So, do, 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 do. Then you just tune it up. Okay, so that's a good starting point. That relationship is going to change between these as soon as you put it in the stand.
Okay.
So we'll have to tune it again once we put it in the stand.
Good to know.
Okay, so stand relationship. We don't want our hooks on the snare wires, so I'm going to move that. I also don't want it grabbing the shell aggressively, so I'm going to loosen it a little bit. And tilt it to where I like it. The tighter the basket is on the shell, this goes for toms too, the tighter it is, the more it's going to kill the sustain of the shell. So you want it just a little bit loose on there. And now we get it in tune with itself, because the relationship between on a flat surface between, you know, going to a stand changes. All right. Wow. It's in tune. Now we get genre specific. You know, do we tune it higher for the genre you're playing, or do we tune it lower, or the song? You know, some songs may just feel different. This is this drum's happy place. It's a little tight. We're in like its mid to high range right now. I don't know if this is going to destroy the mics, but.
And would you describe that as like kind of medium?
Medium high.
Medium high, okay.
And I'm also basing a little bit on tension. It's a little tight, but that's medium high. You can tell like this drum is meant to be a low boy, because at medium high it's still like, you know, still got that fundamental. So that'll poke through around like 150 to 200 hertz or so. If you're not comfortable tuning it down, you're gonna immediately lower the pitch with some muffling, and you'll hear it. So. Wow. So, and now it's controlled, it's beefy. Depending on your genre, depends on how loose or tight your wires are. I'm kind of in between. A lot of people think in rock to tighten the crap out of it, especially if you're using big rooms or you want a lot of room sound. You can fake that by loosening your wires a little bit, even with a small room. So, getting a little appropriate jangle, and so now you're you're right in that beefy fat, so your room mics are going to pick that up, and it's going to.
That sounds great. Yeah.
And then tight. There is too tight on snare wires, in which case it'll just sound bad.
Yeah.
But this is like a good funk, you know. And again, with that kind of genre, I am like wanting to tune it up to play that.
Yep.
So go with your gut. Go how your gut feels.
Amazing.
You want me to tune it down and up?
Sure.
So now I'm going to go to its high. And you should just do like a 180.
Yeah.
And that's going to get you that step up from medium to high or medium to low.
And you're going all the way around.
Yep, all the way around.
Wow.
So, and this is a universal. These aren't like crazy expensive drums either. They're just well tuned. This is not the drum to do that funk thing, just because even in its high tuning, it's got such a low pitch to it.
Yeah.
That's that mahogany or walnut or whatever this is, the characteristic of the drum limiting your ability. But, you know, that kind of thing can sound cool because you still got your high-end crack from the rim shot, but your beef is still there, so that might be a fun thing to mix into the song.
Sounds good.
And that's kind of like a, you know, I find that if you leave it open with some ring and you've got some room mics, blend in the room mics a little bit, it'll take the bad rings away, but, you know, make your kit sound a little more characteristic. Sometimes ring is good.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to do low. So I'm going to kind of go back to where we were. That's kind of where we were. I'm going to go lower. You'll feel it start to give out. Basically, once you loosen this enough, the rods will just be loose. I think I'm close to the edge here on this guy. But in its low state, it sounds bad. So there's a couple things we have to do to make it sound recordable. Sometimes you want a honky sound like this, but you know, we're not doing a lot of industrial metal here. I mean, if that's what you do, then you know, this might be a great sound for you. To get rid of some of that overtone right away, I'm going to loosen the wires. Wow. Kind of hides it and makes it sound more pleasant. It's also allowing that low end to resonate through the drum. So it just sounds good now. And then the key to a gushy drum is muffling. Oh, there we are. Woo! There it is.
Dang. All right, don't touch it.
Okay. Got it.
Dang, man, that's awesome. And by the way, this universal snare, I want to say it's like $200 maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe $300.
You can find them used for probably less than that.
What about
universal?
When muffling, there's so many different tools to muffle with. Why would you go with one or the other?
Well, I mean, it all started with like the wallet, you know, putting the wallet on, and over the years people have been just changing that. Just depends on the sound you're going for. A couple of moon gels, you know, will do the same thing as something like this. We'll do the same thing as something like this. It all kind of does the same thing, but it also depends on where you put them. So if all you've got is gels, that's fine. But something like this is a little less sticky
Messy.
and messy.
Yeah. Lasts longer too.
Last way longer. And they're a little versatile. Like this one, this snare weight here, you know, you can fold it up and do a little bit less muffling. Or you can just straight up turn it off. You know, you can do a fold here, a little less muffling, and then turn it off entirely.
All right, so we're back. We've got the thing. It's still tuned down low, how Andy had it, and it has the snare weight on it here. So we're gonna just hear it, how he had it set up. I loved that sound, and I never thought this snare could sound like that. So let's hear it on the mics. I'm not touching that. Thanks for watching. Check the links down in the description. See you in the next one. I'll put a link to Drum Supply and to Andy underneath here. Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah.
This was fun.